George Washington Elementary School. Look at that. That's awesome right there. So this is the front of the school, and I want to mention something about the front of the school in a minute. I remember, I was telling Liz Toth this story the other day, and she didn't remember either. When we went here, and it'd be really early 80s, and I don't remember if I was in 4th or 5th grade at the time. I did 4th, 5th, and 6th at this school, but I remember we made a time capsule, and we had stuff in it of what did we think the year 2000 would look like. And I'm pretty sure it was buried somewhere in this area. Now it could have been out here, it could have been over here, but that would have been in the year 2000. Now we're in 2022, so that still would have been 22 years ago, if I'm even correct, which means 22 years ago, if they remembered, they would have dug that up. I was just wondering, like, if anybody knows anything about that, if that's even true, because that's what I remembered in my own head, that if they did dig that up, does anybody have any of the stuff that was in there? I'd love to see it. I'm sure we drew stuff like flying cars and whatever else like that, but that's one of the things. Now, when I first started here, I think I was in Miss Openshaw's class, which was probably over here somewhere. It was in this building. And Miss Openshaw's class, that was a 4th and 5th grade mix. But then when I went to 5th grade, I was in Miss Speck's class, which was on the other side of the school. We'll see if we can walk over there in a little bit. And then after that, I had Mr. Arthur. Now, Mr. Arthur ended up moving into the log cabin, which I don't think the log cabin's there anymore. But when I was going here, he was in this main building right here. And Mr. Arthur was in charge of the auditorium. So if you were in his class, then you had to do something in the auditorium, whether it be lighting or, pulling the curtain or singing or acting. Everybody played a role in every single play, every single musical. You had to do something. And I remember when I was in 4th or 5th grade, I was running around on the playground over there. And you know how sports players spit or whatever. I was running and I spit. Mr. Arthur grabbed me by the ear and he made me go to the bathroom and get paper towels and walk all the way back out there and clean that up. The other time he dragged me by my ear was we were in the auditorium and I had nothing to do and I was really little, so I would duck down and go underneath the seats and pop up in a separate row, like a different row of seats, and then I'd be sitting there for a minute or two and then I'd disappear and pop up again. Well, I guess he didn't like that. I'm not really doing nothing bad, just being a kid. And he dragged me by the ear up the auditorium aisle and sent me to the office. But I wasn't really a bad kid yet. I was just a little kid playing around. I wasn't a bad kid until I got older. I'm walking to the backside. This is actually faculty parking. And on the other side of this used to be a lunch area. I'm just gonna see what we can see from over here, and then I'm gonna walk all the way to the other side of the school to see. Now this used to be the cafeteria. I think it was down on the bottom. I don't remember. That's a long time ago. It could have been that. Man, I am messed up. It's been so long I don't remember. But I know Jason used to help Mr. Arthur, or he was his TA, or he did something with Mr. Arthur for a while, so he knows him really good. He would know the school better than me because I haven't been here since I was like, I don't know, 10, 11 years old. When do you go to 7th grade, whenever that is? I can't really see anything with this fence. I can't get any good shots of anything really, but I do remember this playground right here, this thing, and I think our principal at the time was called Mr. Bergdorf. I could be wrong on that. And he would play football with us over there. I also remember I made a paper airplane one time that went from here all the way across to where they now have bungalows. But I'm actually gonna walk to the other side, all the way around the outside of the school, so I could show the other side. So I'm pretty sure this big building on the end was the auditorium. I don't know. See, I was here the other day when school was in, and I probably should have walked in there just to go to the office and just like Muir, see if I can get somebody to walk me around, be a chaperone, you know, so they don't think I'm some weird old man pedophile. I just want to see, because this school looks pretty much the same. Muir and Washington look the same. Burbank looks completely different, obviously, because they tore it down and rebuilt it. And I'm not going over to Burroughs. I'm sorry, people, you Burroughs people, because I didn't go there. I'm not familiar with that school at all. I mean, if I lived out here, I think that's what I would do. I would go to all kinds of different places and talk about other things. Dang, that lady has a key. I don't suppose you'd let me in there too, would you? I don't suppose you'd let me in there too, would you?
No, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to.
All right, thank you.
Do you need something?
No, I went here when I was a little kid. I'm just telling stories and walking around. It would be cool just to see inside there.
Sorry.
That's all right, thank you. Yeah, California's jacked up. You can't do anything. You're not allowed to do anything. It's so weird here. It's like weird. Everything, it is kind of strange. I understand, but it's like schooling in. There's no kids around. What am I going to do? What am I going to do inside there? Tell stories? Oh my gosh. But that's all right. You do what you need to do. I should have came here while school was in. I mean, school's probably out for the summer. I was going to say, because I'm here for a couple more days. I can come back when school's in, but I think school's done. I think the sign back there said, enjoy your summer, or whatever it said. I'm going to walk around to this side. This was all the little kid area I'm walking past anyway, so there's nothing really to show. That lady could have been nicer and said, yeah, I'll walk you around. Come on in. You got like 10 minutes, you know, do something like that. That would have been pretty cool too, just to get a couple shots of the playground or something. But anyway, I'm going to walk around it anyway. Why not? Why is everybody sitting in their cars over here? It's so weird. It's weird over here. So anyway, here's the playground, and right about where that wall is right there with the color stuff on it, there used to be a log cabin over there in that area, and I think that's where the little kids used to be, but that's where Mr. Arthur ended up being. And then this big old thing right there, that wasn't there. But these buildings right here, these two buildings right here, that's part of the regular school. And that's where Miss Speck's class was. It was back here. I don't know who else's classes were back here. But there used to be a kickball field right here, like just on the cement part right behind the log cabin. And it's just like the other school I talked about, where at lunchtime you could just come here and do whatever you want. But now they have these bungalows here, which means, you know, they need more room. But it'd be cool to see like some of the playground like over there and stuff. But we used to play, there used to be handball, like racquetball type things we'd play over there. They obviously had tetherball. Tetherball is still cool if you're a little kid. I mean, tetherball is pretty awesome. But this is Washington. I don't really have too many stories. I mean, there's a story I have when I was in 6th grade and I was talking about Mr. Arthur's class, how I ended up being in his class. I'll show my class picture. And I didn't want to be in his class because I knew it was going to be a harder class, and I knew that the other class was going to be an easier class. So I wanted that one because I knew I could ace it pretty easy. But I always had the hard teachers. I had Miss Speck, who was strict, but she wasn't too bad. She was actually a really nice lady. We always visited her when we were riding bikes around town. We'd see her and we'd always say hi when we were older. And then Mr. Arthur's class I ended up being in, and there was one time, I'll show a picture of my outfit. We were doing Robin Hood, the play Robin Hood, and I was the Sheriff of Nottingham. And I had more lines than anybody else in the whole play. That kind of got me angry because I had more work to do. Also, my mom had my costume made. It's got the big old poofy shoulders and stuff. I'll show it right now. It's me standing out in front of 2114, Lamer, wearing that outfit on my way here. So anyway, we're doing dress rehearsals and everything. Things are going good. I'm having trouble. You know, you're just a little kid. You're in 6th grade, you know. How old are you in 6th grade? So on the opening night, we're doing all this stuff, and it's like the townspeople are there, and they hold like these picket signs because they're mad about something. I don't even remember the whole story. Well, me as the sheriff, I was grabbing their picket signs. They were real, like with wood, with the signs on them, and it was too heavy, and I turned around and I knocked all the microphone stands over, and it made like a loud noise, and I felt so bad. Let me continue with that story in a second, because I'm about to pass Lowell's house. This used to be the Buhner house right there, and Lowell used to live in that garage right there, and I think that's where Jamie was born. Not in the house, but that's when they had her, that's where they lived right there. And his dad, we used to come over here, and his dad was in charge of our BMX team, and we'd all pile in their pickup trucks, and he would take us over to the track. And that was a lot of fun, Lowell. Thanks a lot, your dad. Thanks a lot for all those times. It was awesome. But anyway, that was the Buhner house. So let me continue with this Mr. Arthur story. So, you know, we go through this whole first play. This is opening night. The whole first thing, you know, at the end of a play, everybody comes out and they take a bow together one at a time. You know, Robin Hood comes out, he gets a cheer. You know, the chick that's with him gets a cheer. I come out and I take a bow, and the whole crowd boos. I start crying. I'm crying. I'm like, this sucks. And I thought it was because I messed everything up by knocking all the stuff over. But my mom told me later they were booing because I did such a good job convincing them that I was a bad guy, because the sheriff in that story is a bad guy. So that's what she says anyway. I don't know. I would assume that's true. Why are you going to boo a little kid for screwing up, you know, type of thing. But anyway, that's my little story of that. Mr. Arthur's class, I'll explain it in a second too. I'll pass some chick on her phone. His class was set up in such a way, it was really nice. I hope the sun ain't messing everything up. His class was set up to prepare you for junior high. So when you're in elementary school, you're in one class the whole day, you know, and then you go to lunch and then you come back. So in junior high, you go, you know, you got your first period, and then the bell rings, you go to second period and stuff. Mr. Arthur had his class set up in such a way where you had 4 people in every group, and you had your sections, and you had English section and history section, and, you know, different sections around the room. And every hour or whatever it was, he would have a thing, and we would switch. We're switching classes. And some of the stuff had cassette tapes with headphones. We would take like a test or listen to a story. And he was preparing us to be in junior high, which was actually really, dude, that is so smart. You're so far ahead of your time. Every corner of the room was an elective. So you had like art in one and whatever else was in the other one. You had all the electives in the corners. And he really prepared us for junior high. And if you started here on like Monday or whatever it was, then, you know, you're starting here. It wasn't like the same thing every day. You would start here and end here. You know, you might only do like 3 classes. You're not doing every class every day, every section. You might do like 3 or 4, and then the next day you're continuing here. So that was really awesome. And then your electives, I think you got your electives once a week. You'd hit a corner 1 time a week. That was like super smart and ahead of his time to prepare us for that moving around thing and doing all the subjects instead of just sitting in one class with one teacher. So hats off to you, Mr. Arthur. I know you were a wonderful teacher. I hated you at first. I hated you because I always got in trouble, and you always pulled me by my ear and all kinds of stuff. But I understand now that I'm like super old that those things helped me and prepared me for other things in life, and I really thank you for it. So those are my George Washington stories. I'm sure there's a lot more to tell. My first day here, let me check my phone real quick. Before I leave this area, let me talk about my first day at school. Now, I'm telling this story again in a New York story out in front of St. Lawrence, because that video is more for the New York people, but I'm going to tell this story again. I went to private school in New York. You always wore a suit, and on a 1 day a week, you'd wear your gym clothes underneath your suit, and you would take it off at your desk, go to gym, PE, come back, put your suit back on. You had a uniform. So when I moved here, I was wearing plaid pants, I wore a tie, I was wearing like Buster Brown like shoes, like shoes, and some nice shirt. And I came over to Washington, and it's public school, and you do like, 2 hours, and then you have nutrition, which is like a little recess thing, and then you have like 2 hours, and then you have like lunch, and then you have like 2 hours of nutrition, whatever it was. I know I'm probably a little bit wrong there. So we come out, they're like, we're gonna have, nutrition, and I was like, what is that? I didn't know what that was. And then they said Reese's, but they said Reese's and not recess. They said Reese's. I'm like, are we getting peanut butter cups? Like, I really didn't know. I was not familiar with public school at all. So then we go outside for PE, and I'm wearing these clothes. And we're doing like these things where you have to touch your toes and stuff. My pants split all the way from my butt, all the way around the front. And I had to go around the rest of the day like that. But I got laughed at because when I came here, everybody's wearing OP shorts, OP shirts, Vans. They're California people. I had no clue. I was just a little kid. So I came in here, everyone's laughing at me, everyone's making fun of me, and I think that kind of stuck for a while. People just labeled me as this weird geeky kid, and that's fine, but because they really didn't know the real me. I was actually like a huge druggie since I was like 12. But that's my story of coming to Washington, and a couple different stories around the school. I'm sure I could tell more because I just have so many stories to tell. But I thought I would tell a couple of those stories, and I'll see you, Washington. I don't know when I'll ever be coming back. Thanks for the memories.